in Guadalajara where you can get the thing that makes your penis flat and stiff. I mean, it's so stiff.
Ladies, gentlemen, them, they, and all, it's showtime! Ha-ha! Although, when we do say showtime, we do use that term very loosely, as what we've got in store for you today, well, our presenters have really no idea what they're gonna say because they're all unprepared. So strap yourselves in and brace yourself as the Some Nobodies present PowerPoint Showdown. So start that round of applause as we welcome this week's keynote speaker.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another amazing conference. Now, tonight you're going to be hearing from 4 professionals discussing our topic, fad dieting. And with me, as always, is parentheses horseshoe. Wait, what is? Oh,
What?
Is that a fat boy? Is it a little fat boy?
Yeah,
Little fat boy, Dylan Hart. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you for
Good.
asking. Michael Colby, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm wonderful.
Oh, wow. Improv is strong already.
Something's
Nice.
wrong.
Yeah.
And we also have a special guest speaker of the week, Mr. Justin Carcione.
Close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. You did great.
No, you tell me exactly how it is.
Carcione. Yeah,
Carcione. Excellent.
Yeah.
From 3 Geeks. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. Are you excited to talk about fad dieting?
Always.
Yeah, when you heard this as a topic on our Facebook page, you immediately emailed us. You're like, I know so much about fad dieting.
I'm a professional. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what you said, yeah. Now, for those who are joining us for the first time, each speaker is going to be given roughly 10 minutes to present our topic of the week, fad dieting. And after his presentation, there'll be a short Q&A from our panel. And of course, we invite any members of the audience to ask as many questions as humanly possible as well. And after the 4th presentation, the panel also will vote on which speaker will be given the $50,000 scholarship to Some Nobodies University and the Nostalgia Prize. The Nostalgia Prize of the week, which is actually right here. Hang on a second.
You would think that after this many episodes
Listen,
of this, you
I'm
would know
moving
to
and
get
stuff. I just
the
have
prize.
stuff going on.
Sounds like in a Kroger bag.
Cool.
So I'm not sure how nostalgic it is.
All right, so this is I guess it's a board game or something. It's called Are You a Prepette? And it
Also a professional in that
From
too.
constant-
Prepette.
Brooks Johnson. There's actually a Prepette test. All right, I know we don't normally do this, but I'm going to ask you guys some of these questions real fast. This is on here, right on the front of this box, which is, I guess, a puzzle. Okay. Now, the Prepette test says to verify your degree of Prepette infection, take the following test. Number 1, should you see a plastic surgeon to have your nose lowered? I'm going to answer yes to all those for you guys. Number 2, do you have a mirror in your bathroom ceiling from which you can watch yourself gargle? What is it? We have the weird.
That's American Psycho level of Prepette.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you to our Patreon members. If you want to send us some stuff in Nostalgia Prize to force these guys to be funnier, go ahead and check out our Patreon or listen to anything that Jack Billings makes because they're funnier than us, although we deserve it more. Okay.
I do have that mirror in my toilet so I can watch myself poop. Does that count?
Well, you used to call it butt gargle, so I think that does count.
Or a grumpy buster. I get it.
No. Okay, now before we get on presentations, there's actually a message from last week's. What? Oh, wait, actually, last week, ironically enough, Michael Colby won last week's. And I don't think he's sending a video. Okay, can we just real quick, hang on a second. We're just going to have Michael Colby real fast just record. Yeah, if you can just record a message to last week's winner, that'd be great.
Michael Colby, I can't believe that I won PowerPoint Showdown. Man, of all the people on PowerPoint Showdown, you are by far the best. So the fact that I was able to beat you is amazing. The other guys, they're normally very bad, but So I wasn't too surprised that I beat them. But the guest, that super special guest that we had last week, I can't believe that I won. So thank you so much. This $50,000 scholarship has really changed my life. And this
That's normally where I cut them off because they usually drag it a little bit long. So we're going to go ahead and let that one slide. Now let's see. We do have some ados, but we don't really care about them ever. So if we can go ahead and bring up my presentation, pretty please. We can get this show on the road. Now, once again, I like to remind everybody, this is about fad dieting. Now, that doesn't mean that we promote any of these diets or that we think any of these diets are successful, unless one of these slides says it so. But for the most part, what we want to do is we want to tell you about the ups and downs of fad dieting, the yo-yoing, if you will. Once again, my name is Yo-Yo Bruh, and you will find that I've taken as many fad diets as possible because I like to just make sure I have just a scale of clothing to make sure I'm any size. So the presentation I would like to present is, don't call it a fad diet. It's a multi-level nutritional plan. Yes, this was a very popular phrase in the early 90s. We're going to get to that later. But yeah, some people think fad dieting feels cultish or it feels kind of really into just weight loss. But that's not true. What you wanted to work on is you want to work on a nutritional plan. And this nutritional plan should have multi-levels. And you have no choice but to hear about it because I'm going to tell you all about it in these next few slides. So if we can get on with this, multi-level nutritional plan. Now, in this presentation, we'll be discussing the following things, and in this order. We will not be skipping a single thing because everything is effing important. Eating, everyone's got to do it, not skipping it. Not eating. How do you expect to lose weight if you're not eating all the time? Think about that. And before we skip to the next one, I'm going to go ahead. Exercise, which is voluntary torture, really. It's putting yourself in harm's way for the sake of other people to look at you and say, that guy probably works out, bro. But either way, it is torture. I mean, some of it's voluntary, I guess. But up next, we have dance break. Now I'm going to perform to you a little bit of a dance break that I like to take when I'm doing any kind of presentation, which really is just grab any keyboard you have real fast, and you want to kind of do like a quick motion, right? With any kind of beat that you have. Usually Dylan is on the other end and he breaks a beat for me. So if we could just get that going, Dylan, please. Yep, that's good. That's perfect. Yeah, that was a quick little dance break. Now, what to eat? Now, some things are food, some aren't. You can eat almost anything. Some people will tell you that's not food. They might be right. Doesn't mean you can't eat it. Now, death. It's the easiest way to diet. It's the fastest way to lose some weight. You evacuate yourself pretty quickly. You stop the intake. You really upgrade the outtake a lot. And I don't suggest it. I have tried it. Yo-yoed back and forth a little bit. Made a documentary called Flatliners. They forgot about the nutritional part of that, but that's pretty much what I did. Now, sources, I thought it. I'm smarter than you. Now, peer-reviewed by my mommy. I will say, out of all the people that have helped me work on my nutritional yo-yoing, it has been my mother. She has forcibly moved herself into my bedroom to make sure I'm not doing any late-night snacking. She used to throw me down the stairs and say that it was my sleepwalking. But that's because she found that I'd snuck a stick of butter under my pillow. It was sad state of affairs. But let's get on to the next slide, though. Special thanks, my mom, for doing this. Now, food. What's up with that? Nobody knows? Okay. Next slide, please. Well, I know. I really thought it was going to be more interactive. Now, listen, stop eating, everyone. Just stop eating. It's pretty simple. 1, no calories going in. 2, every movement is burning fat. 3, this is how you lose weight. Think about it. If you're not eating, you do anything. You burp, calories wasting. You fart, wasting calories. You try to get up and take a shower, and you decide, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather walk to the kitchen. Then you go, oh, shit, I forgot I wasn't eating. Then you forgot that you were supposed to take a shower anyway. You go back to bed, a lot of calories burning. I don't understand why more people aren't doing this. You don't need to eat. That's a fact. I mean, people have roughly up to 8 spiders in their sleep while they're eating. You think that's not protein, my friends? It is. So if you want to work on one of these fad dietings, stop eating. It's really the precursor to the death one, but it's like kind of a taste of that without the actual death part. Next slide, please. Types of exercise. Now, quickly. Number 1, running. It is absolute the worst. You get so sweaty. You're really not going anywhere because whenever you get there, you're like, shit, I'm nowhere near where I started. Now I have to go back unless you run in a circle. And then you just look like you forgot something for people that live in your neighborhood. Unless you're in some of those weird neighborhoods. And then people are like, wonder what he's running from. And it's kind of ghost dog. Number 2, lifting weights. Who are you trying to impress, bro? Who are you trying to impress? You know what you lift weights with? Your arms. How much weight do you have in your arms? If you want to lose weight, you got to work on your stomach and you got to work on your legs. You got to work on everything else. You can't just lift weights and think you're going to do anything. It is a type of exercise, but honestly, who are you trying to impress? 3, sit-ups. Now, you'll never have as many abs as JoJo, so why'd even bother? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're a piece of shit because that MS got abs. 4, jumping jacks. You go downstairs neighbors. Oh yeah, your downstairs neighbor is going to be a little bit pissed. But honestly, we don't like them anyway. So think about this: the more jumping jacks you do, the more pissed they are. And then when you go and finally see them in the hallway, they're going to look at you and go, "Whoa, this guy works out. I really can't talk shit on him," because you're going to have jacked hip flexors or whatever jumping jacks work out. Next slide, please. That was an easy one. Now, oh, come on. This is the part of the show where I dance. Now, normally we do this in person, and that makes the stage and the lighting a lot more impactful. Because of the pandemic, we had to move this to more of a virtual style. Now, what you would be seeing, if you could see my feet, is what they call the Baltimore Shuffle. This is a very complex move here, and there we go. Oh, okay, yeah. Now, once again, Dylan usually has a different beat for me when I'm doing my dances. So if Dylan, could you just get that going on? Okay, that's enough of that.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
You asked for it.
Whoa, what was that? If we can just save all questions to the end, I don't care if you're robotic or not. I'd really appreciate that. Now, these people are not food. Once again, when you start snacking on some of these people are going to come to you and say, that's not food. Fuck them. You work out. You can probably beat them up. The first, not food, Stinky Jim. Very little fat, will be tough and chewy, kind of like some turkey jerky. It's good for you. It's worth it. Doesn't taste that great. Number 2, you got Jenna Doe here. Now, if I could just quickly translate this to you, this means that she tastes kind of like hair, even though she has no personality. And that's good. It's like a straw that your body just does not want to process. You want to stay away from the Jenna Does. Now, Jane Patterson, she's lactose intolerant. And unless you're lactose intolerant, you're going to get it. A lot of people didn't think that it was easily transferable, but we weren't really eating people for a long time. Even though they're not food, it's not illegal to eat people. Next slide, please. Now, in conclusion, death. It comes for us all, and it's something that we really, as a society, need to deal with. It's said that 1 out of every 1 Americans are going to suffer from death sometime in their life. And while they're waiting until they're out of shape or old to deal with this, I don't know. But listen, it's going to come for you. You're going to die. And do you want to be the best looking of your life after death? Maybe. I don't. So I'm going to try to almost die before then and really work on this yo-yo system. But if it just does not work, please understand that once you die, you'll be your best self. You'll look the best you have looked. In fact, people are going to say that to you as you're walking up to their coffin. Like, this is the best he's looked. I wish he'd have done this earlier. For many reasons. Either way, that's the end of our presentation on fad dieting. Just remember, folks, diet until you diet, all right? I'll take any and all questions we have as soon as possible. Let's see. Michael Colby.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said that it was a multi-level nutrition plan.
It is.
You didn't talk about levels at all. You barely talked about the food that you could eat. I was just wondering, what is the multi-level nutrition involved in this fad diet?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, multi-level nutritional plan.
Right. So a lot of people will tell you first you have to eat healthy. And then some other people will tell you you should really work out. And some people, when asked a lot, they'll say, you need to fucking die. Now, what I did was I took all of those things and I put it into steps. And it's like, work out first, eat healthy next, try dying, but don't die. So what it is, it's not putting everything all at once. It's letting you do them in stages. Some people like to say stages or levels. I'm not really sure. Multi-stage sounded more like it was some kind of pulling a wagon system. And I didn't want to think this is a pyramid. I wanted to kind of put it in a way that makes me sound smart, makes you sound smart because you can understand this. And all I'm really telling you to do is die. But very good question, though. Justin.
So steps was a key kind of aspect to your presentation. It seems like dancing was also. Do you have other dances you really enjoyed throughout your diet? Other dance moves outside of the Baltimore Shuffle?
Yeah, it's really dependent on what part of my body I'm working on.
Sure.
There was one dance that I was trying to do while trying to die. The only problem is that my family thought that it was more of like an epileptic seizure, which I thought was rude that they could judge me as such and not understand that this is part of my multi-level nutritional plan. But yeah, I have a wide array of dances. There's the Macarena, there's the reverse Macarena, there's the bulldog, there's a version of a bulldog which comes in French, French bulldog, obviously. There's also the there's the Louisiana hardwood. There's the after show back dance. Honestly, there's a bunch, dude. I don't even remember half of them. It's like once the song comes on, I'm like, well, I know exactly which dance I'm doing to this. But very good question.
Thank you.
Little chunk boy Dylan.
Yeah, that works. You brought up that people eat spiders when they're sleeping. I was wondering, do you eat spiders when you're awake? And can you list the 8 tastiest spiders you've eaten?
Yeah, I have. I mean, once I realized how much protein comes in a spider and that technically it's not considered eating if you just let it walk down your throat. So I'll say the 8 most delicious spiders that I've had were, I guess his name was John. Then there was a Bill. But it was John too, because they looked identical. One, my daughter said was a brown recluse, but she's kind of an idiot. So I just called him Bruce 2. There was Bruce 3, because I think the name Bruce for spiders is cute. There was Lewis, not for any reason. I was just watching something and the name Lewis came up. I was like, that's a good name for this spider. And then there was little Petey and then Peter, because he was real big. But they walked down my throat so fast.
Were you naming them while they were walking down your throat?
Not verbally, emotionally, yes. Mentally, 100%. But then quickly I had to run over and jot it down because you really can't talk a lot while they're walking down there. You don't want to hurt them. You kind of want to let them do what they got to do. That's how you get the most nutrition. Emotionally taxed spiders, not as many calories.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a cow documentary on HBO about it. It's the same thing. It's got Claire Danes in it. Anyway, thank you for that's actually true. What's their name? Tandy.
The cow documentary?
It's a documentary about a woman. Tilton.
Moving on up.
Tilton. Brandel Tilton. I'm getting there. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
What is happening?
Randall Templeton. It's a document. Listen.
He's also a professional in cow documentaries.
Look, if you guys have time for a second, can you just pause the show for a second? I just want to talk to you about this documentary that I watched. It's about this woman, Temple Grandin, and she made this machine that squeezes and hugs cows so that when they get killed, they're not as stressed, because it turns out stressed cow doesn't taste as good and there's more blood that comes out of it when they get killed and they're stressed. So she takes this device and it hugs these cows before they kill them, which makes them less stressed. So we could talk about that show. Anyway, go ahead and start that back up. Okay, everyone, listen, we have some dues to get to, but before we get to them, we do have another guest. We have one of our professional guests, Mr. Justin from 3 Geeks. Justin, welcome to the show. Let's get your slides up if we can get the friggin'. Hang on a second. Here we go.
Where are the producers of this show?
I don't know. We're all moving.
They're on strike.
We ain't paying them. I don't care. They got to win the show to get money. Justin, let's see what you got here.
Of course. So this is Fad Dieting, the ironclad food doodad that I made for my rad dad. I mean, he's a glad Chad, like glad, that had a sad fad that glad's madly white cladded in bad plaid that he had from grad school. So really, this has been a problem since early on in his life, right? And I'm here to help him. Next slide, please. Retro 80s kid-core dieting fads found on Bing.net. Dexatrim, 45%. Why bother with diets and funky junk when popping pills will get their spunk? I mean, who doesn't enjoy using... I mean, I wouldn't say it's cheating, right? I mean, pills aren't cheating, but I will say they do help, right? There's plenty of instances where, like, cocaine was in Coke, right? The drugs kind of help do different things, right? That's Dexatrim for you. Grapefruit. Before every single meal, drinking GF juice will seal the deal. I'm not sure what deal we're sealing, but I think it has something to do with losing some weight, right? And that's an important thing, and grapefruit helps us do that. Cabbage soup. 80% of this doodad is 7 days of cabbage soup makes you garbage poop. I've heard about cabbage being a very popular fad in the 80s, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like the soups and things like that really kind of allows for solid weight loss. And I'm pretty proud of this dieting fad that we brought up, right? Liquid protein, turn those solids into drinks, fulfill all your liquidy kinks. Now, this is from a different market, right? More leather and bondage, but I get it's a pretty popular dieting fad from the 80s. And I'm sure there's plenty of other ones that we could talk about here, but for today, I think the top 4 is probably the most important. Please, next slide. Retro 80s kid core fad dieting, countries of origin. 70% of weird diets, my dad doesn't respect these countries enough. Really all over the place, right? I mean, the color coordination here is a little hard to read, but follow with me, right? United States, obviously, there's some stuff in Europe and Australia, and it looks like the Latin American countries. Really, some strange diets are coming from these places. Diets my dads have tried. My dad has tried. My dad's friends come from here. It looks like, namely, Australia and United States, and really proud of what my dad was able to accomplish through his diet. Next slide, please. Retro's food core dieting kids, other kinds of people. So this is kind of the gender split for our different fad diets. For the gender, we have gender and age. 65% female has tried our diet, 35% male. Ages 11 to 25 is a majority of the ages we've used for our diet. 30% being 26 to 40. The different types of food interests, 55% really enjoy solids, 25% liquids, and honestly, I mean, this is surprising in my research, right? But 20% gases, right? A lot of helium, a lot of different noxious fumes really help with the weight loss. And going back to our previous presentation, kind of leans towards the death aspect of it, but it's fine. Next slide, please. Retro 80s diet core kids food for thought. The best way to sum this up is by the seafood's tale my dad once told me. The lemur, the femur, and the octopus. Now, we had a really fat lemur, and an octopus was trying to train that lemur with a bone, really trying to get that lemur to work out, and realized it didn't work until we had a retro tool that really got there, and the femur was that tool and really drove that lemur to lose some weight. Unfortunately, the octopus, similar to the scorpion and the frog, ended up eating the lemur, but it was just because it was trying to get it too small to get into its beak. Next slide, please. 80s diet core kids food profile infographics. Fast food was healthier in the 1980s. calorie count, size, and portions in the top 10 U.S. fast food chains. So obviously, from the calorie intake, you can see from the 1986 to the mid 2000s, right? Our calories are slowly increasing, as well as portion sizes have started to creep up, right? Outside of the sides, portions seem to be the same, but calories, the foods, the oils, and different spices and things we're using have increased the calories for our sides, and desserts have really exploded in terms of our portion sizes as well as our calories. And that's really something we really need to come back down to. Hopefully 1986, maybe more cabbage based desserts would be good. More broth, bone broth, maybe. Next slide, please. An example. So this is going to be the tool and the 80s retro dieting fads, right? Really harnessing the bone broth, really creating tools and resources for people to really develop a diet that best suits them. As you saw, our portions are going up, so the tool will blend down and decrease the portion sizes while trying to keep our calories low and do the best we can with that. And next slide, please. In conclusion, you can see there's a plethora of things that have changed from the 80s to today. Fad dieting is not one of them, but the different fad diets are, right? We go back to the portions and the different sizes of foods, and what makes up those foods have definitely increased from the 80s to today. And the tools we have to combat that, our obesity epidemic, is many, but we really have to hone this down and really get a healthier, more portion controlled diet. And thank you. That is my presentation. I appreciate it, everyone.
Oh. Bravo.
Thanks.
Does anyone other than me have any questions for Mr. Justin 3 Geeks? Dylan, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you for the presentation. On your graphs of the demographics of people in this diet, this one. I noticed that only 35% of them are male, and only 30% of them are 26 to 40. Now, considering that, for example, half of this panel has aged out of these demographics, how would you reach males over 40? Is it with more cabbage soup?
I think that it's a wonderful suggestion. I think it has a lot to do with the news, probably CNN and maybe Fox News trying to get across that marketing level, and maybe some different YouTube things. Maybe people in that age demographic still read the newspaper one-off, so some newspaper clippings, and really just the local YMCA. We'll just pepper them with different dieting results and clinicals.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael, let's go. Michael Colby, please.
Yeah. I was wondering about actually that same slide that Dylan was talking about. Now, the 20% that are interested in gases, are those the ones who are eating the cabbage soup for the diet? Is that where that gas comes from?
That is a very, very good call out. There is a portion of that number that is a result of those cabbage soup drinking people. But some of it is just straight meal to gas injections, right? There's a diet there that goes straight from the mask to your stomach. You don't really feel full. You're actually really disappointed afterwards, but 20% of the folks seem to like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yo-yo, bruh.
Oh, once again, thank you for this amazing conversation. Now, if we could bring up the second to the producer, they could bring up the second to last slide. Now, was this, and I hope that I didn't misread this, was this part of the slide, or was this our producers making a mistake?
You know, it's hard to tell. I mean, I had a lot of cabbage soup when making this, so it might have been one of the small percentage of gases that I was not paying attention, and I created a slide. But in reality, I think you got the point of what I was trying to get to, and I appreciate you asking the question, because I do think there was a mistake on my end to getting you to the producer, but
Perfect. Okay.
but we'll go through that.
No, thank you very much. I'll definitely talk to them anyway. Dylan, stay after the show, please. We do have some questions from the audience. Mr. Jason Taylor would like to know, is there a certain bone that is better to eat to lose calories? Like if I cooked my cat, would that be better bones, or would my dog?
Going back to the proverb and the tale I told earlier, the lemur actually is the pronounced animal for boiling. Now, there is some highly debated forums around if you do it alive or if it should be dead prior to boiling. But you kind of do the best you can with that. I will suggest easing into the live lemur boiling, because it can kind of go sideways.
Yeah. And then apparently there's a follow-up question, which is also the liquids. Would it help depending on what you're drinking out of, like plastic, can, and paper?
So I'm a big fan of drinking out of paper, especially very thin paper, because a lot of times that will rip and that will reduce your calories just naturally.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, that's a very good point. I should have thought of that before I put that question up there. Excellent. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let's see. Up next, who do we have next? We have Mr. Michael Colby's going to be up next. So if we can bring Michael Colby to the microphone, please.
All right. Okay, give me 1 second.
Every time.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on fad diets and how to make them work for you. There's a lot of fad diets out there, but really what we... let me take that again. There's a lot of fad diets out there, but really only one of them is going to work for you. And what we're here to do today is we want to get you set up with the perfect fad diet for you, specifically tailored to your needs. We'll get into that during the presentation. Next slide, please. Now, why would you even bother with a fad diet? Weight is obvious. It's the obvious one. It's about a quarter of why you would fad diet. It to make you weigh less or to make you weigh more, depending on your needs. Your height, which you're not really going to be able to change with a fad diet. So that one probably shouldn't be quite as much of this pie as it is, but you can take a couple inches of fat off the bottom of your feet and the top of your head, or you can, depending on the exercises you do, plus your diet, you can add a little bit of fat to the bottom of your feet and the top of your head. So we'll get to that again later. Now, the next thing is your astronomy. Oh, no, that was wrong. We'll edit that out. Let me just try that one again. The next thing that we have is your astrology. Based on your star sign, your moon sign, your sun sign, you're going to be able to pick a better diet for you. Aquariuses are going to need a different diet than do Pisces. It's all just a matter of what stars you were born under. That's it. A lot of people don't know, and that's why fad diets don't work for a lot of people, because they're not taking their astral. Let me take that again. Just edit this out later. They don't take their astrological sign into account when they're picking their fad diet. And now the last one, peer pressure. You're going to get pressured to go on a diet. Everybody's doing it. If your friends jumped off a cliff, would you as well? You probably should. If your friends are saying that that's the cool thing to do, you should probably do it. I don't like that. I don't want that to be the message that I'm giving to people. So when you edit this later, just cut that part out, and I'm going to go again. Peer pressure. Now, a lot of people are going to say, no, you need to do this. You need to diet. You need to look better for other people. That's not necessary. You don't need to do that. Be your own person. If you want to do the diet, then do the diet. If you don't, that's fine. Just when you do pick your diet, make sure that it's the right one for you. Are you a water sign? You should be drinking more fluids. Are you an air sign? Cabbage is probably what you should be eating more of. So don't let the people around you pressure you into a diet. Next slide, please. Now, here's some examples of fad diets and their benefits. Atkins. If you do the Atkins diet, eventually you'll fall while you're doing ice skating and land on your head, and you'll die. That will make you much thinner. No, wait. Is that the guy? Is that the guy who died ice skating?
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. Okay, leave that in. We have the Adkins diet. Now, this is the Trace Atkins diet. He's a very famous country music musician, as everybody knows. My favorite type of music. I can't get enough of those twangy truck talking about steak eating American singers. Now, the problem with this is it's very similar to the Atkins diet because you will be eating a lot of meat. The good thing about the Atkins diet is there's a lot more barbecue involved. That's pretty much the only difference. Now, you could be a breatharian if you are a Gemini, for example. All you need is the air. Everything that you need is in the air. If you are an air sign, which I think Pisces is, did I say Pisces? I don't fucking remember. Cut that part out. Cut that whole part out. You could be a breatharian. In truth, you don't need anything but the air you breathe, some water, and sunlight. We're basically plants. We have a common ancestor with plants. All of the stuff you need to make your own food is in your genes. You just have to access it. Savory gelatins, huge in the 50s. You just put anything you want in Jell-O, and those calories don't count. You can get a tapeworm. It's very easy to order one off the internet, and it takes away half the nutrition from the stuff you eat. Let's go ahead and get one. They're fairly cheap. Now when we edit the video, I want you to take this last one out. I don't know how that got in there, but it's a little bit crude for my presentation. So if you could just take that out of there and put a nice picture of a like a carrot over top of it. And then just take this whole part of me talking about it out because it won't make any sense because there won't be anything there. There will just be a picture of a carrot. Next slide, please. Now, I drew this example of what happens to the body on a bad diet. I would like one compliment from every other panelist. We'll get to that during the question part. We'll come back to it. I promise. I'll definitely remember. But this is a picture that I drew of a fat cell. And everything that's in this fat cell, if you take one part out of it, that fat cell will die. And then you'll have no more fat. That's how it works. But again, depending on your star sign, depends on how what part of the fat cell you want to kill, and what am I trying to say here? What part of the fat cell that you want to kill, and
Maim.
yeah. Oh, well, that's the easy one. Obviously, anyone can kill the me part of the fat cell. All you have to do is just take yourself out, or do
Mushrooms.
something heroic. Save someone, take a bullet for, well, not the president, but take a bullet for something that matters. Now you could take out all right, I have 2 jokes for the PA part. So just I'm gonna say both of them, and then when you edit this later, just take out the one that you think is better, and then we'll just leave the other one. This is how podcasts work, right? So if you want to get rid of the PA part of the fat cell, you can just move to an adjacent state like Ohio or Maryland or New York. And that one's pretty easy to take care of. Most of the star signs can do that. All right, ready? Okay, here's the next one. If you want to get rid of the PA part of your fat cell, all you have to do is murder your father. Okay, so whichever one of those you like better. Now, you can get rid of the POS part, self-explanatory. We'll get back to this when we get to the compliments later. Next slide, please. Now, how to determine which diet is right for you. In order to do that, you're going to think this is silly, but what you have to do is you put a ball on a table, and you put your face right up next to the table, and you suck in. If your breath is strong enough to bring the ball to you, that'll determine, your. Normally, people who need the cabbage diet have good intake of breath, but bad outtake of breath. So the ball will come to them, but it won't go back away when you blow out. If you need the Adkins diet, say, the ball just sort of sits there. It doesn't want to be it doesn't want to be further away from you, because it does want to be near the barbecue, but it doesn't want to get any closer because the barbecue is very vinegary. I have a whole chart on my website. I'll put that in the show notes, or I'll have whoever edits this down put it in the show notes, and we'll have all of that stuff available for you later. Next slide, please. Now, how accurate is the data? These are cats. Cats are basically us. Again, common ancestor, closer than the plants. So it's more like, it's more closely related to people. If you look at somebody from above, you will see whether they are, now, hang on one second. I can't read this. I don't have my good glasses on, but luckily you can just take all this out later. If you look at somebody from above, if they're thin, 16 to 25% body fat, that's a fine boy. 16 to 20% body fat is still a little bit much. If you do, move out of Pennsylvania, if you do kill your father, you can get rid of all of that. But we're not going to get into that. If you have 70%, or if you have 70% body fat, oh Lord, he coming. You got to do something about that. Next slide, please. Working out. an alternative to a diet? I don't think so. Next slide, please. Now, in conclusion, you can take the good part out of a pie. Leave the crust. The crust is just carbs. Take the filling out. It's fruit. That doesn't count as food. You can eat as much fruit filling of a pie as you want. You know, your what you have left may look like a terrifying bird beak, but that wasn't funny. Cut that part out. So in conclusion, just eat the middle out of a pie. It's real easy to get rid of your fat cells. All you have to do is eat the right food, like apples. And if you just leave the carb part out of the pie and just have the apples, you're good to go. Now, before I take questions from everyone, I am going to need compliments on my drawing of a fat cell. So if we could bring that slide back up. Thank you. Now, Chunk Boy Heart Dylan Hart, I'm going to have to ask you for your compliment first.
I think you chose a really nice font for all the labels.
Thank you. Justin from 3 Geeks.
I really appreciated that you didn't forget about the POSs. You know, a lot of times these charts leave that off. I think it's really important to talk about the POSs.
Thank you. Yo-Yo Bruh.
I would like to say that I really liked how you spread everything out so that it is very easy to read and not hard on the eyes.
All right. Those were all good compliments. Thank you. All right. And that concludes my presentation.
Beautiful. Now, before we take any questions from the panelists, we actually have a fair amount of questions from
a lot of discourse in the chat today.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and go over them one by one, if that's okay. Justin Wallace would like to know, so I'm a Libra. Is there a diet that can help me become a Gemini, or is it strictly a change to the Leo?
Now, to change your actual star sign, you are going to have to get a hold of a Superman who can change the axis tilt of the Earth, sort of bring you back in time, change the axis of the Earth so that when you were born, you're born under a different star sign. It's not as easy as it sounds. Getting hold of a Superman is tough, but it's definitely doable. So if you get, if you would rather do the Leo diet than the Libra diet, unfortunately, that's all you're going to have to. You're going to have to do that.
Okay. Follow-up question from Justin as well. Also, I've been on the Atkins diet for about 3 months now and developed a love for rodeos. Is this permanent?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. Okay. If you're concerned about your addiction to rodeos, you should probably stop the Atkins diet, because the next thing that's coming up is going to be the Demolition Derby, and that's also permanent. So if you don't want to be addicted to the Demolition Derbies, probably stop the Atkins diet, stay off of it for about 3 months, and then you can get back on it. You might feel the urge to jump the median in the highway and run into oncoming traffic. Please, I'm going to ask you not to do that.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is a question up, but Initial Dylan would like to say, I eat pizza and tapeworms for breakfast.
That's the Sagittarius diet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Jason Taylor would like to know, is it okay to mix diets that would, would it be advised to mix the tapeworm with the 69? I mean, well, okay, we're not really talking about the 69. So, sorry.
No, we're not talking about that part. The only thing that people listening to this podcast or looking at it later are going to see is just a carrot. I'm sorry, Jason Taylor. Your question isn't going to be even up on this.
Yeah.
It's going to be edited out.
Right. Okay. Now this question is for this slide. Let's see. Initial Dylan would like to know, what's POS? Because being Hispanic, we always say POS, and I don't know it stood for something else.
Yeah, it stands for positive ion station.
Mhm.
It's the place that you go to get your fat cells positively charged, so that when when you start on your star sign diet,
Mhm.
depending the earth signs, you can take the fat cells out with a magnet. Your gas sign diets, they actually turn into a gas and are expelled, unfortunately, through your bottom.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
that's
Nice.
so all of the different signs, even though they're all positively charged ions, they do come out in different ways.
Nice. Jason Taylor says Ohio is a Jason state. Thanks for the shout out.
Don't shout out Ohio.
Okay. Initial Dylan would like to know, does this man want me to suck balls? Is that recommended for dieting?
I mean,
I'll have to hit up my homeboys for this exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
I
that's
guess
fine.
The initial question is, does this man want me to suck balls?
Depending on your sign. Your water signs are going to want to suck balls.
Yeah.
What comes out is high in protein, depending on whose balls you're sucking. It could taste good. It could taste terrible, but really you can wash it down with a sparkling water or a Diet Pepsi.
Nice. Initial Dylan says, yo, 70 is definitely a chunkers.
Yep.
20 is the annoying cat you want to get rid of.
Never.
70 is chilling with you the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cream in that pie. Wait, that's the thing. That's a different slide. Shit. There's no cream in that pie. I guess you got to fill it yourself.
And that's where the ball sucking comes in.
Dylan's face.
Winky face.
Yeah.
Is this how my insides look? That's a real question.
Now, I don't know who this initial Dylan is.
Well, you got an applause, so good job.
Thank you for the claps, but you've taken up enough time.
True. Jason Taylor would to know, if we change to the Leo, is there a chance we can advance to the DiCaprio?
Okay, so this is just Dylan from our normal
It's Astrology too.
Telling some terrible jokes.
This is Jason Taylor.
Actually, this is one of the three geeks.
Nope, I don't.
This is not me.
I
have a different dumb question.
Initial Dylan says, to be a Gemini, you just got to start lying to your friends.
Okay.
Which is an easy chat.
That's not me. I have a different dumb question based on
now,
dumb
Justin Wallace says, thank
you.
I saw
thank you, chat, for all of your questions.
We have to start cutting off chat if it gets popular.
We're getting to the...
Justin Wallace says, plethora
Nope, we're getting to the panel questions now.
Or stagnant fat cells.
We're getting... Nope, Dylan.
Yes, I was hoping producers could move forward into the examples diets. Now, I suspect I know the answer already, but I was wondering if you could elaborate which of these would result in the best honky donk badunkadonk.
You'd be surprised. It's the tapeworms.
Nice.
The tapeworms do take the stomach fat, the man boob fat, and that fat that I was talking about on the top of your head and the bottom of your feet, but it does leave the badunkadonk relatively untouched.
Nice.
Any more questions from the panel, not from the chat?
We do have a couple more from the chat, though.
No more from the chat.
Okay, we'll take those later. Edit those in. Justin, do you have any questions? If not, we got to move along with this choo-choo train.
No, I'm okay.
All right, excellent. Let's see here.
Most active chat we've had in this entire show, I think.
Up last and 100% least, we have Mr. Dylan up last. Let's see. And is this his slides? Here we go.
Okay. Hi, I'm giving a presentation today on fad diets. Do they work? And I want to remind everybody at home that this is a presentation that was not generated by artificial intelligence. Nope, this was 100% not made by a robot, handcrafted just with the information that is relevant to the topic at hand. And I'm sure the syntax and context is going to flow effortlessly. But let's get on so I can prove that point in the next slide. But no, No? I was rambling a little bit. I don't think I asked a question on the first slide, but okay. Do they work? Next slide, please. No, they don't. Well, except for my Fad Diet. My Fad Diet works. Not only was this presentation not generated by an artificial intelligence, I am not an artificial intelligence, and the jury is still out as to whether the second half of that statement applies to me in the first regard. It's been a while. Let's go to the next slide, please. All right, let's cover a brief history of nutrition. Year zero, food was invented, or year O, it's a very round zero. Food was invented originally because without food, we wouldn't be here at all, and our ancestors wouldn't have been there at all. In 1773, fried chicken is discovered. Cool. Sure, that's fine. In year 2020, I found the weird thing. Not a weird thing. It's the weird thing. Mm-hmm. And this infographic may look like a light bulb with sunglasses, which is funny because a light bulb puts light out and usually you wear sunglasses to block it. But no, I found the weird thing in 2020. That's just an abstract representation. And then we're here today to talk about no more health problems for anyone. And that is due to the weird thing I found and the fad diet I built around that weird thing. And fried chicken is probably going to be relevant because the context is going to flow effortlessly because this presentation was not generated by an artificial intelligence. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is how my diet works. First off, you have the weird thing. You eat the weird thing several times a day for success. That's pretty much it, but I'm going to get a little more specific for you. The weird thing, fat. The weird thing burns the fat off of your skeleton violently and quickly. So quick, in fact, that you can't even tell that it's happened yet. Energy. Eating the weird thing gives you all the energy you need for the entire day. All of it. Any amount of it you need. It's not from the fat burning off. That's like a secondary reaction. It gives you all the energy you need for the day ahead of you. And then number two, the weird thing, make sure you're doing it. You're doing it. You got it. You did it. Good for you. You ate the weird thing and you did it. Perfect. Fad diet's working brilliantly. This presentation, 100% human made. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Let's go to the next slide. Now here's why you, am I pointing? You need to diet. Shopping. New clothes equal new you. I happen to formulate who I am as an identity based on the clothing I wear. Today, I am wearing a Fighting for the First Survivor Walk to End Alzheimer's Association. Because I got a lot of money for that association one year. And it really helps me make sure that I have a hard time following the train of my thoughts. Vacation. You're not going to go to the beach looking like that. Like, come on. That's why I wear a shirt. Otherwise, I'd be podcasting shirtless like we have done on the show at least once. Speaking of the beach on vacation, you're about to enter the bikini zone. Hubba hubba. Now, that bikini zone is going to cost you money. You have to buy the weird thing and eat it, which will burn off all your fat. You have to buy a bikini because new clothes equal new you. And if you want to wear a bikini, you got to be someone who wears a bikini. Or you can wear a Hawaiian shirt. But no one looks good in those. So, I mean, you could wear one, but really it's a matter of like, on your vacation, you want a hubba hubba or you want nobody to come near you? I can see pros and cons to both of those options, but I'm going to let you decide which of them applies best to your personality. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, if I had time, I would say 1,000 words about this picture of a woman in wide-brimmed glasses with pigtails eating a piece of lettuce, but I'm not going to because we had a very active chat during the last presentation. We had to spend a lot of time answering questions that ultimately were only semi-relevant, which is fine.
Quick producer's note. Apparently, we have plenty of time for that 1,000 words. Is that that's right? Oh, sorry, yeah. We do have plenty of time.
I don't have any way to keep track of it, so I'm not going to.
Oh, I have
I can count. Yeah.
Yeah. You sure you want to do this?
Yep.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, this is a picture of a woman, presumably middle-aged, wearing black, wide-rimmed glasses. They look like they're made out of plastic. She has wide, blue-gray eyes. It's difficult to see because the entire image is overlaid with a grid pattern. There seems to be a layer over it of a white grid of consistent squares. She has kind of natural-looking makeup. Nothing stands out as particularly bright or garish, but her hair is done in a pigtail, which is kind of zany and kind of wacky, which fits with the expression on her face as she is chomping down on a large leaf of lettuce. Probably iceberg. It might be romaine, but it looks a little pale to be romaine. Now, considering this is a presentation on the topic of fad diets, it is important to consider that iceberg and romaine are effectively calorie neutral, at least according to the most recent science that I've ever looked up, which was a very long time ago because I simply don't care enough to eat salad. Now, overlaid on the image, it's tilted about 30 degrees. It looks like it was rectangle, roughly 2-to-1 ratio, and it was tilted about 30 degrees so that the white transparent background could show through. And there are a few overlaid kind of sticker style animated small, probably JPEGs or pings, or I mean, if you're really getting technical, it could be TIFFs, but I don't think anybody who made this intentionally, because they're definitely not an artificial intelligence, was going to upload TIFFs into their image editing software. I mean, we're not graphic designers, I don't think. I speak for myself. I'm not a graphic designer, but, you know, I don't know why I'm talking about someone who made this in the third person. I clearly made this. This wasn't generated by an artificial intelligence or anything. But there's a white text box that looks like it says in a big, bold sans serif font in like a magenta maroon color, a picture is worth 1,000 words. There's no punctuation. The kerning is fine. It's not one of those like Comic Sans where the font has been kind of like messed with to make it look kooky. I think the tone of the picture behind it kind of delivers that in the first place. And it looks like she is wearing some kind of like wide-shouldered dress or suit jacket that seems to have the same color and material pattern as a couch from the 1970s. Back to the little stickers. There's a smiley face. There's a coin or a ring, but it's probably not a ring because you have three-dimensional shading on one side, but you can't say the interior. So I'm going to say it's probably maybe a breath mint, but it looks like it has a segmented plastic ring around the outside. So I'm not entirely sure what that could be made out of. You have what looks like to be either a heart split into two or more likely one of those paper hearts that is like a bunch of layers of paper cut out. So it looks like a heart from all angles. Super cheap to produce. You have a fig. I think it's a fig. You have an 8-pointed star and then a large 4-pointed star flanked on either side by 2 smaller 4-pointed stars. And all of them have like the white border around it, which would indicate that this is supposed to emulate the style of like a sticker you would put on a notebook at your grade school. How many words am I at?
Currently, we are at.
Oh, so close.
Don't believe that for. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, look, I was literally counting.
No, you weren't. Her eyebrows are rather blocky. Her forehead has some wrinkles in it. Looks like her hair might be pinned back. Presumably, she's some sort of professional stock photo model, and this was obtained by Google searching some form of.
Okay, that's 1,000. Good job.
Next slide, please. All right, now here's a breakdown, independent of the breakdown that I just suffered at the hands of the presentation I made and was not created by an artificial intelligence. 26% of that breakdown was shame because I let myself get talked into speaking for that long on a subject that is frankly pretty, whatever. 10% of that is cheat day because I've been really lazy for the last few days. So I've suffered a few different cheat days. I'm trying to cut down on that today. 31% of that was regular poops. My bowel movements have been more regular recently, which is very nice, and I appreciate that. So I'm feeling rather relaxed right now. And 33% of that was caused by reincorporating eating the weird thing 3 times a day. I have eaten the weird thing 3 times a day. The fat has burned off of my body. I have energy, and I am ready to wear a bikini on vacation. But for more information on the weird thing, you're going to have to click here. Can we click here, producers?
I'm trying. It doesn't seem like I can.
You're just going to have to go to patreon.com/Some Nobodies in order to click here and view what exactly the weird thing is. But in the meantime, let's go to the next slide, please. In conclusion, this presentation was not made by an artificial intelligence. And here is a little icon graph of all the little stickers that I put in this presentation because I think they're cute, just like the little bow boy next to my name and all the hearts. Fad diets, eat the weird thing 3 times a week. Yeah. A day. I don't know. I'm wearing an Alzheimer's shirt.
What is time?
It's an illusion. Whatever. It's all a construct. Let's hear some questions from people. Yeah, if anybody has any. Yo-Yo Bruh, let's hear from it.
Excellent presentation. Down to the numbers, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one question. What does the thing look like?
Let me tell you, it's pretty weird. It's got, there's some height to it and a little bit of width, like some depth, and it weighs some. It weighs some. You know, there's a little bit of weight to it. And You can kind of like there's a place to grab. It's kind of weird. It's not always the same, but it definitely has a look to it. It does look, yeah. Is that a follow-up question or independent?
Independent.
Let's see if anyone else has any. Let's hear from Justin.
Yeah, so to follow up with what Yo-Yo Bruh asked, are we ingesting the weird thing, or is that processing some type of supplement to then ingest?
You have to eat the weird thing 3 times a day, I believe is what I put in the presentation.
Gotcha.
Yes. It is edible. You can indeed eat it. Let's hear from Yo-Yo Bruh once more.
What does the thing taste like?
Well, I mean, at first it's kind of like, oh. And then, there's a moment and you go, oh, okay. And then as you kind of like get through it, you're like, oh, And then finally it wraps up with a really kind of like, all right. Like, yeah, that kind of, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
Michael Colby.
Yeah, you talked a couple times about your poops. Now, does the weird thing make your poops weird as well, or are they still normal poops?
I mean, it depends on how weird you consider poops. I'm sure that someone of your caliber is familiar with the Bristol stool form scale. Like a type 9, like a soft 9.
A soft 9.
Soft in like the other meaning of the word, not the first one.
Okay, that makes more sense. So it does make it a little bit weird.
A little bit weird. I
So
mean,
it's like
it depends on how.
out of focus.
I mean, if you eat the weird thing enough, like over a long enough span of time, that becomes normal. So it depends on how often you eat the weird thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yo-Yo Bruh.
Does the weird thing grow in nature? Or is there one that you found?
I mean, finding something on like a shelf is the same as finding it in nature. So,
No,
I mean,
not
yeah. You can find.
No, somebody puts something on a shelf in nature.
Well, yeah, and then
grows.
you find it on the shelf when you go looking for the weird thing, or you're out in the woods and you find the weird thing when you're looking at in nature. Yeah.
But there's a difference if somebody put the weird thing in nature versus if the weird thing grows in nature.
I mean, I guess it just depends on your definition of the word grow. Like,
Right,
I mean,
what's your definition of grow?
I mean, like, it's there, and then it's a bit more, but it's still there.
So the weird thing grows.
I mean,
by your definition,
It's hard to describe. I guess so, by a lot of people's definition, and some people they probably disagree with that.
Oh, okay.
That was my concern about the consumption, right? If the size varies, it was.
It'll give you consumption.
Jason Taylor would like to say, I've learned so much and I have a lot to think about.
Neat.
That was not a question.
Indeed.
Michael Colby, I think this is to you. Jason Taylor is listening to this on the podcast version, and he wants to know why did you want most of your speech cut out?
I don't know why he would know that if he was listening to, because all of the stuff about me wanting stuff cut out is not in the audio version. This will also get cut out. So,
well, Patreon members do get behind the scenes, so he might have known.
Nobody ever told me that.
The version you've been saying a lot of stuff. The version that we release online is only like 3 minutes long.
I work exclusively in scripted audio drama. So I'm not used to doing this live stuff. So I'm going to have to ask that even the Patreon version of this is indeed taken down, or I will get my lawyers involved.
Sounds like someone hasn't eaten enough of the weird thing today. Jeez.
Okay, where can I get one of the weird things?
I mean, it's pretty much anywhere you can get anything else. Like,
I mean, I can get this right here.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no weird thing right here.
I'll just come out and say it. The weird thing are the friends we made along the way.
Oh, shit.
We're eating our friends?
I mean, you know, if you want to get that bikini bod, hubba hubba.
Oh, geez, that's fair. Okay, Dylan Terry, excellent job as always. Oh, now you're one of these guys. Good job. Well, folks, it seems like it's that time of the show where we gotta, before say goodbye, vote on who we think did the very best job. Now, I'm gonna ask by a number. I went first. Justin went second. Colby went third. Little chunk boy went fourth. So please, when I count to three with a show of fingers, who do you think gave the breast?
Nailed it. Nailed it.
That's okay. They'll just take that out.
Yeah, we'll take this out in post. Yeah. Who do you think did the best job? 3, 2, 1. Oh, Chunk Boy won. Chunk Boy.
Anybody that goes on for 1,000 words.
Chunk Boy Heart. Heart.
I've fallen into this realm where I'm the one who has to make a lot of shit up on the air.
Yeah, that's true.
All the way back to that Versus show we did.
Yeah, none of us have ever had to make anything up on air. But thank you very much. Now, let's see here. What does my script say? Now, that concludes our conference for the week. Now, well, Dylan Terry, why don't you tell us what the next topic of next week's conference is going to be on?
The even weirder thing.
There's more than one thing?
Oh, yeah. Goes all the way down.
There's at least 2.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I have been Yo-Yo Bruh, a.k.a. Zach Wiseman, and for my payment for doing this is to make someone give us a new outgoing slogan. So, Justin from 3 Geeks, what's our new outgoing slogan?
It's an even weirder thing. Have a good night.
Hey, guys, it's an even weirder thing. Perfect. I love that. Michael Colby, where can people see your they can hear or see or hear or
okay, cut this part out. Just start again. Go ahead.
Did you ever have a dream that you could do what?
Listen, people need to listen. There's podcast. You have podcasts. People need to listen and experience or see the memes that you make about the audio.
Man, you're
the
just
audio
right now.
the podcast, which comes out on audio versions.
Mm-hmm.
Some Podmoth version. Where please tell people,
Michael, just talk over him.
I'm gonna let him go until he stops because this is very funny.
If they wanted to type some stuff, say people wanted to hear other, like if people are like the people that like this or the other things.
Okay, all right, okay.
Don't challenge him.
Tell people.
Okay, you can listen to Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex on the Podmoth Network, available anywhere that you get your podcasts. We've been working on our SEO lately, so we have a very concise name for the podcast, Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex. We made all of our social media easy to access, so you can follow us on Twitter at myneighbormich1 or at Jack Billings Pod. You can email us at jackbillingsofficial@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at Jack Billings Presents, or you can go to patreon.com/Jack Billings. As you can see, all very easy to get to. Also, a new podcast started called Starlight Phineas, that I haven't been on yet. But my character will be introduced very soon. I play an old man, and there's another one coming out where I play a Sasquatch. So I think I'm getting typecast.
Nice. It's a lot of words. Good job.
Yes. It was 1,000, actually.
Took you a long time to say that.
You wish.
Chuck Boy Hart, Dylan Hart.
Yeah.
Same question.
You can find me everywhere you can find Some Nobodies, which is most places you can also find Zach. That's Talking Upstream, Twitching Upstream, Silicon Angels, podcast shows, CYOP Appeal, 2nd season coming soon. Award-winning television, pop culture, comedy podcast of the year, No Time to Binge, with Michael Colby as well, where we watch a bunch of TV, or don't. You decide. Got some stuff coming. I don't know. I think that's it.
That's not how that show works.
No?
I mean, it
No,
could.
people don't get to
tell us
decide.
to watch more.
Yeah.
People
They don't
don't
tell
get
us
to
to watch
decide
it.
how much of that television.
All right,
No.
guys, you're really talking a lot here. Let's let Justin
Yeah.
go for 3 Geeks.
Sure. Yeah, you can find us at www.3geeks.ninja for our website. You can find us anywhere you can listen to a podcast at 3 Geeks Podcast. We have a lot of different interview styles. We have a live show. We have an interview conversation topic. We just did one with James Kerwin as a director. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, please check us out.
Yeah, and they also do that remake Revolution.
Yeah,
too.
and we've had you guys on the.
Oh, yeah.
You remember doing that the last time we were on there?
Oh, I absolutely.
If you get the rocks wet enough, like when the flood of Noah happened, and the rocks got wet, and then they were malleable, and you could turn them into mountains. That's the way that the Earth got. Thank you for watching PowerPoint Showdown. Today's winner will receive a $50,000 grant courtesy of Some Nobodies Patreon. Congratulations on your win! Join us next week for another showdown. Thanks for providing that big prize, guys.